Hi, good morning. We're reading The Mystery of History. Let's see here. I thought we read Beethoven. Oh, sorry. I thought we read Beethoven already. Didn't we? Oh, yes. Here we are. We're on the Mexican War of Independence on page 88. Okay, so Beethoven he wrote his Fifth Symphony in 1808. What else was going on in the 1800s? We said that in 1770 when he was born, that was the what? I forgot. Let me see, something with
that was the Boston Massacre.
The Boston Massacre, okay. All right, and then we also had William Wilberforce fighting slavery at the same time, and the Louisiana Purchase being made, and Lewis and Clark were exploring the western part of the United States. So all that's happening, and then the Mexican War of Independence is about to kick up too. So Ms. Hobart says, we've spent a lot of time already on the United States. It's time to turn, well, Beethoven wasn't in the United States. He was in Germany. Okay, it's time to turn south of the United States and look at Mexico. From 1521 to 1821, Mexico was a part of New Spain. New Spain was named by the Spanish who conquered the Aztec Empire in 1521. So she's talking about the country Spain came over and conquered the Aztec Empire in 1521 and then settled. When they say settled, they mean conquered and put down colonies in parts of North, Central, and South America. So they're really spreading out here. Mexico by itself was quite large, and it was Mexico's turn to declare independence. Who was Mexico declaring independence from? It was Spain. Who would start Mexico's fight for freedom? Well, it might surprise you. It was a priest named Miguel Hidalgo. We don't usually think of priests as freedom fighters, but Father Hidalgo was no ordinary member of the clergy. Unfortunately, he would die later for his cause, and he would not see Mexico set free from Spain. Miguel Hidalgo would become a national hero to the peoples of Mexico for starting the revolution that others finished. Excuse me. As some background to this region. Okay, so she's giving us some background. Since the voyage of Cristobal Colon, as we know him as Christopher Columbus, Latin America had long been chained to Spain. So, that means had a connection they couldn't break. As most of you know, it all started in 1492 when Cristobal Colon sailed the ocean blue. No, she didn't say that part. Sailed west under Ferdinand and Isabella. He was looking for China and India, but instead found the scattered tropical islands in the Caribbean. Colon named these the West Indies, and the people living there, he called them Indians. Though he hadn't reached India, the name stuck. And for millions of indigenous people of Mexico, like the Nahua, the Maya, which are also called the Yucatec, the Zapotec, or the Zapotec, the Mixtec, or the Mixtec, the Otomi. So all of those were called Indians. Today, these Indians and dozens more make up almost 10% of the Mexican population. So there are a bunch of different groups here that he was like, oh, they're Indians. He just mistaked them. And so, but the name stuck. As time went by, Spain colonized all of Latin America. So that's why they speak Spanish there. Do you see the connection?
Yes.
Which included, because they speak Spanish in Mexico, Latin America, and large portions of South America.
Like Brazil.
I'm not sure if Brazil speaks Spanish. I'm not sure. There's some other language there. Okay, we'll have to look. Which included everything from the Okay, so they colonized Latin America from Mexico to the tip of South America. This is more than 7 million square miles.
That's a lot.
Yes. very large portion. Hold on. Let's see. There were humanitarians like Bartolome de las Casas. He was covered in volume 3. He fought against the poor treatment of the Indians. And by Indians, we mean the people in Latin America who had been colonized by Spain. And so there were humanitarians like him who were fighting against this poor treatment. However, it says the political arrangement of Latin America went uncontested for 300 years. What does that mean? That means that Spain ruling them, the way that Spain wanted to rule them, just was happening for 300 years, and nobody, I wouldn't say, probably not nobody, but there were no big revolutions to kind of challenge them. So why then the change of heart in Mexico? Why did the Mexicans then rise up and revolt? There are 2 good reasons. Well, in 1808, Napoleon Bonaparte removed the King of Spain from his throne and replaced the king with Joseph Bonaparte. Joseph was his brother, one of his brothers. Now there was an opportunity for the colonies to reorganize, the colonies of Spain to reorganize. They said, we have no king. Time for a revolt. See, I had an idea that it probably wasn't nobody speaking against them, but it wasn't they didn't have a revolution organized. You could see, because if they were very quick to revolt when there was no king, what does that mean?
They were getting ready.
Not they were getting ready, but they were unhappy. They weren't just, oh, this is great. Oh, no king. Oh, now suddenly we're unhappy. No, they'd been unhappy. There was a growing power struggle going on in Mexico between 3 social classes. So we already saw 3 social classes in France. Now we're talking about 3 social classes in Mexico. At the top was a group who had been born in Spain, and they controlled Mexico. They had the most money and the best positions. These were viceroys, bishops, treasurers, generals. They were upper-class citizens, and they were called royalty. They were born in Spain. Remember that, because it will be important. It will be an important distinction. Now, there's a second class. These were people of Spanish descent, but they were born in Mexico. So, if like your parents were born in Spain, but then your parents came and you were born in Mexico, now these are you're now a second-class citizen. Cow, too loud. They were prosperous. That means they did well in terms of money. They were wealthy, but they couldn't get positions higher than the royalty who were born in Spain. So these second class were called criollos, or Creoles in English, criollos. The third class was a mixed group of Indian and mestizos. Mestizos were a blend of Spanish and Indian people, and intermarried and had children. So Spanish who came over, and then they said, they found married somebody who was from Latin America, and they had children. These were called mestizos. So this was third class. Most people in this class were poor workers and peasants. Are you listening?
Yes.
They had very little education, and they had very little say in how the government was run. This was the largest of the classes. They outnumbered the other classes 10-1. So does the struggle between the classes sound familiar? It should remind you of the French Revolution, when the middle and lower classes revolted against the upper class.
It does remind me of that.
And we have a similar story here. The criollos, I don't know how to say that without using a little Spanish, representing the middle class, and the Indian and mestizos, the lower class, revolted against the royalty, meaning the upper class. It's a fascinating parallel to the French Revolution.
Spanish and French are similar languages.
That's true. They both have a, I forgot what the root is called. They're similar. Italian, French, and Spanish are all similar. As I did for the French Revolution, she says, I have provided a table here. Okay, we'll review that table next time. We're going to stop there. We're on page 90, and we'll be on page 91 next time. Goodbye!